This week on Waxing the Porpoise, G-Baby and the usual suspect Steve welcome back a man whose gaze could pierce through the thickest fog, Staring Jon, the enigmatic oracle of intrigue, to wrap up our Daniel Craig Bond-era retrospective with the fifth and final entry in the series, a dark symphony of espionage and treachery where secrets are currency and the twin dragons of love and loyalty clash with ruthless cunning. No Time to Die from 2021. Join us as we recap G-Baby's dance with the devilish elixir known as Malort from the last episode, who may have overindulged and gifted us with an impromptu performance of the Technicolor yawn, explore the depths of Bond's character and the seemingly impenetrable legacy Daniel Craig has left us with, and wrap up with some fun Amazon reviews, namely the Wild West hellscape of Haribo's line of sugar-free gummy bears. Remember, dear listeners, in this realm of high stakes and even higher body counts, one must always keep their wits sharp and their Malort intake in check. And in the case of 5-year-old Mathilde, James...
You are the father!
Let's wax this timeless porpoise.
Chase, don't do that.
You see, we working on his brow chakra. We're just in back of the crown chakra.
Jesus Christ. All right, fuck all that. All right. We're recording here. I'm going to take a little
Malort. Straight to the dome.
Yeah, that last episode sounded wild, bro.
Never again, man. I think my Malort days are numbered unless they sponsor us.
And that number is 0.
Yeah. That was fucking a bad... You know, it would have been fine. It was the joint about 2/3 the way through the episode that fucking got me, dude. It fucking got me straight up Keith Sweat.
Dealing with that. I would be like, yeah, actually, I have a reminder set for myself every single morning to let you know. Why do I hear myself?
He's playing back audio, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, did this not come
Dealing
through?
with that. I would be like, yeah, actually, I have a reminder set for myself every single...
Oh, damn it. When I was trying to do that, it picked up the audio while you were talking. Never mind. I was trying to cue that Keith Sweat Twisted to add a little bit of color to my experience with the joint and Malort combo. That was the straw that broke it. I would have been fine. Actually, I mean,
down the spiral.
Full disclosure, I actually at the hour and a half mark, you can hear me throw up. Like I just reached over and I grabbed my office waistband, and I was just like,
when you disappeared when they went on the fucking
I was like, yeah, cut out there for a little bit.
The cable guy fucking rant. That was with that one,
dude. And then it was puke and rally, dude. And I came back like white hot, like feeling great. And that's why then we went hard on Cable Guy in like late 90s, like.
Yep.
Underrated comedies.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
That
guy seems solid, man. What's his name? Bob?
Yeah. They got a really good show. They've been doing, they're like on 400 plus episodes.
400, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they have their show dialed and they do really good analysis. He's a good hang. But yeah, dude, I felt it for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh fuck, man. I was like, am I going to throw up right now? And I was trying to power through and I was like, I got this. And then it was like, there was a 3-second window where it was like, nope, you don't
do it. Yep.
So I was like, I was kind of embarrassed. I was about to do that. So I hit my video. I blocked my video and I fucking went down, reached over, did one of these into my fucking office waistband that has holes through it. Yeah. So I had to clean that up, like fucked up after the episode, after the recording.
Did it come out of the wire mesh?
I had a lot of shit in it, so it kind of acted as a bad.
Dude,
you look disappointed in me, like a disappointed like dad.
Well, originally I was thinking I was picturing a regular trash can, and I was like, well, I wonder if he had a liner in it. That was way worse than what I was expecting. No liner. That's no walls in a trash can.
Yeah. Yep. It was kind of chunky, so it wasn't fine enough liquid to pass through the grates. But
I didn't notice, so good on you.
Yeah, if you go, I was like, should I leave it in as like an Easter egg? And I was like, I left it in. So I think it's right at
you can hear the door. You can hear like a door, but
right before the door. I think it's at like I wrote it down. I think it's like the hour and 30 mark, like right on, like dead nuts. It's like,
oh, that's awesome.
It was two solid ejections, and then I went to the bathroom to wash my face off, and I came back, and dude, I felt like white hot, dude. I was just like, I'm back.
Damn.
But yeah, it was like riding a roller coaster. So, needless to say, I had a lot of shit in my gut.
Yeah, you did.
At that point.
A lot of very different types of things, too.
It was pickleback, pickle chaser, Malort, V8 low sodium, and that fucking creme de fucking key lime pie.
Yeah.
Liqueur and beer and soda and dip and weed. So yeah, I think
2 shots of tequila.
4 bong hits, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was a fusion burrito of bad things. So yeah,
it's fun. Surprising how much shit Steve actually knows. For being a guy who doesn't watch shit, you know a lot of shit, dude.
Not really.
Yeah, I would agree, not really, but there are some things I've been kind of surprised that you have watched. There was one just recently that you said, yeah, I've seen that, and I was like, what? But I mean, by virtue of this podcast, we haven't done a movie every time. We're on episode 62, but you've done like 40-ish, probably 50 movies in the last year and a half, which is probably more than in the last 10 years.
I'd say 15, probably 20.
Damn.
That's what you were saying. I think it was 2 episodes ago. You're like, yeah, I think it was when Chris was on. You're like, yeah, the last year I've watched fucking more movies than I have in like 20 years or something.
Yeah. And if that is an exaggeration, I don't think it's much.
Sure.
That's crazy. All right. So, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Waxing the Porpoise. We're here on episode 62, finishing up, putting a bow on the last entry in our Daniel Craig Bond era, or Daniel Craig era Bond retrospective, with No Time to Die from 2021. As usual, you got myself, Jim G. Baby.
Vote for Donnelly! For Donnelly! Every vote counts.
And to my virtual right, that was a long one. To my virtual right, we have the usual suspect, Steve.
I mean, if you don't like spaghetti and meatballs, why don't you get the hell out?
Hey, listen, I'll come down there and give you a crew cut, mister.
Let's see your clippers.
I've been waiting for that one for a long time.
I forgot about it, so yeah, I was like, oh, perfect.
But my problem, your father was sick. Doing good. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'll spare you all.
Yeah. That's your jukebox moment. Anything on the periphery of the courtroom scene in Big Daddy, you're going to get the lamb tuna fish. There's so many good ones
from that.
Perhaps
you prefer spaghetti and meatball? Be more comfortable with that analogy.
And then also wrapping up this retrospective, we have, of course, Staring Jon.
They were cones.
Bringing it back with the Adam Sandler. How's it going, man?
On top of the world, dude. That's great. Yeah, that's one. I don't remember how that came about, but we went through that often.
I remember you saying that when I was like, what is that from? And you're like, Wedding Singer. And I was like, I don't remember. Like that line didn't really stick out to me. And when I saw it, and I was like, man, what a weirdo that just to like stick on that. Here it comes. Like,
they could have been people at the wedding. He was just so serious about it. He was like, come on, dog. They were cones, man. It could have been people at the wedding. Yeah, doing good, man. Excited to be here. Excited to get into this. This one is obviously it's going to be a conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one, and not just because it's the longest one. I was texting Steve earlier in the week, or you shot me one. You're like, "Is this thing actually? Is that what you said?" You're like, "Is this thing really 2 hours and 48 fucking minutes or whatever it is?"
Yeah.
So,
And it was.
yes, was it every bit of 2 hours and 48 minutes for you?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's red lights spells danger. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think either way, I think this will be a fun one to get into. You guys want to do some you want to save like the happy hour stuff for the end, or do you want to talk about anything new or anything fun going on? I know we kind of spun our wheels talking about my fucking vomit story, but
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah.
how's the streaming going?
Stream's going good. Stream's going real good. People are coming in, getting. I mean, I'm through. I think at this point, I've cleared 48 different NES games, beginning to end now. So
Damn.
we're going through the library. We're going through it. We got some RPGs on there, some long ass ones. I got through Final Fantasy, got through fucking Dragon's Warrior. So some of the bigger ones are knocked down too.
I never was a big Final Fantasy guy, but or played it even, but I remember my cousin used to play it when he was like 15 and I was a lot younger, and I don't know why, thinking back on it, but like 3 or 4 of my cousins, we'd sit and we'd watch him play fucking Final Fantasy, and he had like the guidebook thing that had all the weapons and shields and all the cool shit to like look at. And it's funny, he had what's that Nintendo joystick? It was almost like a arcade style one. It was like this big square gray one that had a joystick knob for movement. And he knew a way to like spam that to like at the beginning of one of the Final Fantasies. I can't remember what you do, but he would like jam that thing between like a VHS tape and like the bottom of the entertainment center. Yeah. And it would like spam like BA or something super fast. And it was a cheat in NES to give you like full hit points or something. I can't remember now, but I distinctly remember. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, the advantage.
He's like, just wait, you'll see. And
cheat codes.
Fucking cheat codes. Yeah, I remember in the summertime, like just like sitting, we're like, oh, this is cool, and it's just this turn-based fucking.
Dude, it's not bad. Shit. It's funny you say it because I was dreading that fucking game, and you know how fucking people are on Twitch, bro. Someone comes in and is like, hey, what game do you not want to play? He's like, oh, well, I'm not really looking forward to, any of the long-ass RPGs. It's just, I'd rather not, you know what I mean? And immediately, 5 subs, Final Fantasy!
That's when you got to start, like, thinking ahead and playing that 4D chess. Like, what do I hate? Okay, what do I love? And
yes.
Get them back that way.
That's the key to streaming, is just navigating all the fucking morons that are in your chat. And, like, how do you combat that? What have you been up to, Steve? What do you got going on, dog?
Well,
Not
I do
getting a haircut.
I know I do need to get a haircut. I do owe Jim and anybody listening an apology for last week. I had to unceremoniously exit at some point because my power went out.
Yeah, that's lame.
Well, yeah, to be fair to the power grid in the great state of California, it got over 85 degrees. So, of course we had to go into meltdown mode in the power grid. So that happens, and we also have 2035 to look forward to when our esteemed governor Gavin Newsom has decided that all new vehicles sold have to be electric. So I'm not sure how you reconcile that with our flailing power grid, but that's going to be an issue. And if you find yourself listening thinking that's the type of common sense leadership I want at a national level, stay tuned, because he might be your future president. So that type of that type of straight shooter with upper middle management written all over him might be coming to DC soon. So
God, let's hope not. Jesus Christ.
Expect more great policy decisions at the national level. So that's it for this week's edition of California Politics Corner.
Yeah. All right. Well, Yeah, I told my throw up story, so we're through that knothole.
Yeah, get that one queued up. We're gonna need that a lot this episode.
Yeah, dude.
So
I got.
we sort of alluded to it on the last Bond episode, but I was looking through shitty reviews for Spectre, and I saw no less than 6 or 7 confused, lost people who were leaving reviews like, what does this mean James Bond will return? I can't believe he died at the end of this. And it was so confusing because they were obviously leaving a review on the wrong Bond movie that I thought they maybe went back and changed the ending of Spectre because it wasn't that great. And so going into this movie, it was sort of like, well, I have a pretty good idea of where this is going. So
yeah,
that took a lot of the punch out of it, unfortunately. But
yeah, that sucks a lot.
Yeah,
who does that? Who would leave a review on the wrong movie? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I would think that it would be monitored by, I mean, there's got to be some kind of fucking community that would, look at these things. Like, I would like to think that if that were to happen on a movie, that there's somebody who would go through and be like, oh, yes, this is either like gray it out, right? To where you have to approve to like look at it and contain spoilers or just flat out fucking delete it if it's something that egregious.
Yeah.
Slacking ass IMDb moderators.
This was actually on Amazon, so that's not super surprising.
Dude,
I found Amazon to be, I know, but it's a blessing and a curse because that's where I also can find some of the most absolutely unhinged reviews.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I think you do, Steve, but have you ever heard the legend, John,
I already know what you're going to say.
The Haribo.
Can I guess? Yep.
Sugar-free
gummy bear reviews.
Yeah, Haribo, they do like the fucking root beer little soda candies and the bears.
Yep.
And I guess they had a line that was really like that fucked with people's guts.
Instant diarrhea is how I've heard it described from their sugar-free gummy bears.
Yeah, their sugar-free variant.
It's taken on a life of its own. I feel like I just heard recently somebody said they had to go in and take a bunch of that shit down because it wasn't just full of negative reviews. It became like literary, the type of reviews these people were leaving. It was just over the top hilarious.
Dude, I read like a 6-paragraph one that was like where a dude is like dead ass. This guy it was 6 like an essay, and it starts off about like, well, I had to travel to the airport. I was getting ready to leave. And it's just like this in-depth description of how hungry he was getting to the vending machine. All they had was these gummy bears. He eats them. Long story less long. He gets pulled aside by security. They got to frisk him. He ends up shitting himself because the bears just make it like it's just like this in-depth story about him shitting all over himself and TSA because of these.
It just ran through him like a bran muffin.
It couldn't have happened to a better group of people. At the TSA, like, why don't you guys go ahead and clean this shit up?
Yeah.
Amazon's having to like rent extra server space for all the fucking Haribo sugar-free reviews. Yeah, I remember one. It was like the title was like Hell Bears. I think that's one of the ones that like it started the phenomenon, and like she went on this like awesome So yeah, that is the Wild West for
somewhere.
reviews.
There's a marketing person like, there's no such thing as bad publicity. They're like, Cheryl, have you seen these fucking reviews?
Amazon reviews is like, hold my beer. Okay, I know we got a lot to slog through with this movie, but so let's get into No Time to Die, and I'll try not to distend this too much. Like with past movies, I tend to get caught in a cycle of wanting to go over every point. So this one is obviously the last in the Bond film franchise. This one was like so many things with the pandemic, was like scheduling, reshoots, etc. I think this was supposed to release like fucking 6 different dates or something wild. Yep. Like as early as like late 2019, I think, and then multiple points all the way through 2020, and finally I think it was November 21. Does that sound right? Somewhere in there. Steve, you hadn't seen this. Did you watch this one in theaters, John?
Yes. This was one of the first ones, I think, I could be wrong, but I think this was one of the first ones when theaters reopened. That I was just like, I have to, this has been, I saw Casino Royale in the theater. I saw every single one at at a midnight release for this was my shit. And so I was like, there's no way I'm not seeing it in the theater.
Word. Were you going to say something, Steve? Sorry.
Oh, once again, I was trying to look at a little bit of trivia, and there's so much like Bond universe-centric stuff that's not super interesting to me personally, but I did see one thing I thought was funny, that this movie took so long to come out that companies that had paid for product placement were like, hey, this shit is so outdated now. This is a problem because what we paid to have you showcase is now, 4 generations old. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think one of the specific examples is Nokia. His phones are they're on an 18-month cycle basically, and the one they had in the film was outdated already, and they were pushing their new flagship. And Nokia was on a bounce back. I think they were out of the smart game phone for quite a while, or they were really trying to stick their dick out again and compete against Samsung and Apple. But at any rate, I guess what they did to compromise, I guess they were trying to bully the studio into shooting reshoots. Reshoots of your movie for product placement, and MGM was like, get fucked. And so the antiquated phone Nokia that is prominent in a couple scenes, they left that in, but they did acquiesce a little bit in some of the promotional commercials and shit. They went in CGI'd out and they put in updated products, including
that makes sense.
Whatever the new Nokia phone was. But that's funny. Out of all the trivia, I happened to notice that one too and thought that was interesting. But yeah, I was taking a dump earlier and I was like, okay, let me see some trivia. It was a shit show for every other Bond movie because the volume is ridiculous, and I feel like every 50 entries they're almost the same level of trivia, but just slightly different information. But yeah, it's pretty wild. Even big movies that have a lot of trivia, this dwarfs that. There's it's 5x 10x maybe the amount of trivia on the shit, which is kind of interesting, but makes sense for such a long running franchise. But so this one is directed by Cary Joji Fukunaga. He was he was a producer and he directed 8 out of 10 episodes of the first season of True Detective. So that's that was his claim to fame before this. And he also wrote the first screenplay for the It reboot in 2017. And then he walked away from the project, but he still has a credit. And I think they used a bulk of his screenplay for that movie. But, they kind of came in with when they announced this guy was going to be a part of it. Just off my only experience with him was first season of True Detective. I was pretty psyched, right out of the gate. I was like, "Fuck yeah, this is the direction I'm psyched about." A la kind of going with Sam Mendes with Skyfall. I thought that was kind of an interesting choice. So yeah, I was hoping he was going to shake things up a bit, and he's got a pretty interesting background. But I like what he did with the film a lot. Before we get going into, I guess we should just rip the fucking Band-Aid. What'd you think of this one, Steve? Is this a pass or fail?
Oh yeah, it's a pass for sure.
Oh, nice.
It definitely has its issues, but I don't even think it's close to being a borderline call. Going back to what you were just saying before, I don't know because I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it was the direction or the cinematography in this one. But I really liked the style of it more than, I don't know if I'd say more than any of the other ones that we've watched in the Craig Bonds, but as much as I like Sam Mendes, I think I liked the director style of this one better than his, to be honest. The opening sequence in this one, I think is my favorite probably of all 5.
Yeah, this one is fucking rad.
Pretty badass. And it's not the stereotypical Bond in a foreign land fighting some crazy over the top fight sequence that ends with some crazy getaway where her.
He's chilling. You think like she should be on Easy Street, fucking riding the gravy train with biscuit wheels with Madeline. Like he's disconnected.
Yeah.
So I didn't even mean, I meant the pre-Bond stuff, like with the little girl in the house when she mag dumps the guy.
Oh, the intro. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
That was like the coolest opening.
Yeah.
It was pretty dark, man.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah,
Very dark.
When the camera pans over and you first see the guy standing in the window, like, ugh.
Oh yeah, it's almost like a horror stinger kind of. I was
Good
like,
jump,
ah!
Yeah.
The fuck is that, dude? That face mask is fucking really weird.
And she unloads on him, and then he gets her out of the lake. I thought that was a very, very strong start.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I did too. I thought that was super rad. Like how like she was like center mass, like she was like pulling, like she had trained, or you could tell her dad, Mr. White, like made sure she knew what the fuck to do with that weapon.
Didn't give her the right code for the panic room though, or maybe she just panicked and kept putting it in wrong.
Yeah.
Well, because she talks about that in Spectre, right? Where she talks about the gun. She's like
the gun and the bleach.
Yeah. And then
I like how they actually paid that off from a previous movie, you know, and there was a solid connection to it.
For sure.
I missed that.
Yeah, that's one of the things in the Bonds, at least the ones that I've seen, like there's not a lot of I guess they changed the mold with doing the Bond series because they're all very connected, like into telling a cohesive story and like a huge arc, whereas the previous ones kind of felt like more like Monster of the Week kind of thing. Like this is the Bond, it's like all new scenario, and this one it actually had, I felt like this franchise has stakes and there are like definitive, especially from Casino Royale to Skyfall, and I would say Skyfall to Spectre in this. I like that that opening scene as well. I also like this feels like 3 opening scenes like kind of jammed into one, and I liked the second part when they're in Italy. It kind of reminded me of like the rooftop scene with Patrice in like Turkey, I think, or Istanbul when they're in Skyfall, that like the motorcycle chase.
Yeah, and I didn't really like it for the same reason. It's like, okay, yep, here we go again. Like
it reminded you too much of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought those 2 jumps in particular that he makes on the bike were fucking sick. That like weird high angle thing, and then the one through like there's like some kind of procession going on in town that really high, and they pull back on the camera, and just how high that arc was. I just thought that was fucking sick. And like the camera work of that was really cool. But I guess just to set the table real quick. So as I alluded to, Madeline and James Bond, they think they're free of everything of Spectre, and they're like living the good life, and they're like honeymooning, I guess, or vacationing in Italy. I think it's on purpose that it's the village where Vesper is buried. It's Matera, which is the southern part of Italy, which is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site. How fun. Don't ask me what the fuck that means, but it's like a ceremonial time of the year, and you see there's like tea leaves in the air kind of, and they're on fire, and like the bellhop, he's like, well, what's all this going on? It's like it's for this region, it's like a ceremonial time of year where they're writing down secrets, wishes, letting go of the past, getting rid of old things, and in come the new. So point of that being like, so it seems like the sticking point between Madeline and James is she wants him to let go of Vesper, let go of her, you know, like you can just be like, I'm gonna let go right now, like you can pinpoint it.
I was kind of on her side. I was like, God, we're still talking about this bitch. It's been years, and you barely knew each other. And yeah, I feel like they've gone back to the Vesper well too many times, in my opinion. It's like you barely knew each other.
Yeah,
that's a fair point. I won't argue against that.
I won't either.
But
I would love to, but I won't.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah. They did lean a little too hard on that, but you know, the light that burns twice as bright burns half as long kind of thing, maybe. but symbolism, symbology.
But
yeah, I thought it was funny. It's like, okay, so he's gonna write on a little piece of paper and
Right.
write Vesper Lind and burn it up like in this ceremony, and then it's like, okay, that's gonna, I'm free of her now. Like it's not a light switch. It's been how many years, but maybe it is. Who knows?
I should have Googled. I meant to look it up later. Whatever
What she wrote down?
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what it was?
Yeah, because my OCD kicked into high gear this time when I noticed that, and she writes down Le Home. What the fuck is it? I wrote it down here. God damn it! I have so many fucking notes. It's stupid, and I won't even touch on any of them. It's like Le Home something, which means the masked man. So her secret is like the shit that happened to her when she was a kid. I think maybe she feels some kind of like embarrassment or something about the person who killed her parents, like saved her. That was what I was pulling from it, maybe. But that's what she wrote down.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was like Le Home fucking.
It would have been funny if she wrote down in French, like, I have herpes, and then just burns it.
I've given you the clap no less than 3 times.
Well, yeah, when she was talking about, like, I have secrets and all this stuff, I was kind of expecting a little more, to be honest. Like, yes, he raised me, and yes, I'm still loyal to him. I thought maybe there would be a little touch of that, but, well, that's just another little quibble I have.
Okay.
I don't think it's smart to go to Vesper's grave ever. I mean, you have to think that if people are looking for you, they know that's one of your soft spots. But again, that's just a minor little.
True, but to him, Spectre's done, or I mean, he's gotten rid of Blofeld, so he thinks that whole thing is kind of fallen in on himself.
Up.
But
that's a fair point. Yeah.
Oh, Le Homme Masque, the masked man. So yeah, that I kind of took it that way. But yeah, he goes to Vesper's grave and he writes down "Forgive me" and he burns it, and then he notices a little business card that has the fucking Spectre octopus logo on it, and he's like, "What?" And then he hears like a timer, and he gets fucking blown to shit. I liked the scene a lot too, like when he's like going down that weird fucking like Roman aqueduct bridge thing, and the car comes at him, and he sees that wire, and he fucking does that big jump and swoop down. That was pretty fucking sick.
I like that, and when he ducks and that bumper.
Oh yeah, it's like this little pillar thing.
Him, just like where it rolls up, and he's just like, "Oh shit, it's all narrow." And he just sees it like, and then you see the tire. It's just over at that.
Well, I might be mistaken, but after he gets blown back in the explosion, I feel like the audio is different to where it almost sounds like how it would sound if you just had your shit blown out. I thought that was a pretty cool effect too.
Yeah, totally.
Like they added like Ryan kind of thing where.
Yep. Yeah, that's crazy how they're able to do that. Like it was like he got hit by like a fucking flashbang or like a concussion grenade or something, and you hear that like that ringing, and it kind of and everything like shrinks down around your head. Like, yeah, that was cool. He gets beat the fuck up in like this first like 20 minutes too, like some of the falls he takes. But so he goes on the run. There's this like Cyclops looking dude. So out of the gate, he's like, okay, Madeline fucked me. Like he's like,
she's the only one who knew I was here, and
it could only be her. And then, which I mean, it sucks because it's like he's always never been able to trust anyone, and then he gets to this point and he thinks he's free, and it's like, oh fuck, I should have known, So he's like on the warpath, like he's thinking like one way, like I've been screwed over, and he's just like fuck everything. It seemed like at this point.
Yeah, and the guy he's choking out says something about how she's involved.
She was a daughter of Spectre.
Yeah, which just confirms his paranoia.
And then when he's then he fucking scoops up in the Aston Martin Madeline, and then she gets a call, and then it flashed like a Spectre insignia like on her phone, and it's Blofeld, who's in prison, like a fucking like 10th level of hell security prison in London, and calls her and said, "Oh, you did a great job, my darling. Your sacrifice will be well rewarded." And James is hearing this. He's just like, it's nails in the coffin at this point.
Right.
This is one of my favorite scenes, or like I liked how this opens up in the car where like they get into this like square and they're being shot at by like 100 people and the car's getting fucked up, and she's like pleading with him, and he's like, all right, and he fucking just whips his fucking crazy donut and turns on the miniguns out of the Aston Martin. That part was pretty rad. And the music, the fucking ba-bum.
Well, because it seemed like he just kind of like at that point they're dumping into the car, right? It's just fucking they're surrounded. It's crazy, and I'm curious what how you read it, because I was like, oh, he's like in that moment he was like, fuck it, we'll both die. I don't really give a shit. Like I've accepted it. Like you fucked me. I'm done. I'm over it. And it's not until that dude's on him just thumping and you see the window, it's just like,
yeah,
it's
the
like
bulletproof
right
glass is just about to give.
And she starts screaming and he's like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah, I didn't read into it super hard. I just took it like he's just like over being shot at, kind of, because it did seem like that, like he was just giving up at that point. Like, yeah, fuck it. Okay, let's just both die right here in this car. And she's pleading with him, and maybe it's just like him like pulling at his heartstrings. It's like, okay, I'll do you this one last favor and you'll fuck off. But either way, like the action of it, like seeing that Aston Martin whip around 360 and just dump like 2,000 rounds indiscriminately. Like, how many innocents got hurt by that fucking
shouldn't have been standing there.
Because he just lays on that fucking thing, dude. And it's like, yeah, that was cool though, to actually like see him like unload like that was pretty rad, just like indiscriminately firing into a crowd. So let's see, after that, what happens?
That's what takes her to the train station, right?
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So then we cut to the train station, and like they're walking briskly, like you just got into a fight with your old lady, and like, you know, like it definitely had those vibes. He's like, get the fuck out of here. And I mean, spoiler alert and all that, like jumping ahead too. At this point, it's like, why wouldn't you just say, hey, I'm fucking pregnant with your child? Just say that. You think
she was there?
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't come to this conclusion. Well, I mean, on my own, but when he puts her off on the train, he's like, and I'll never see you again. Right before the train closes, she holds her belly and she's like, and like she breathes in and she's like fucked up, you know, like, I'm gone. She holds her belly. And I mean, the timing kind of lines up because it's 5 years later and it's like, how old's that little kid? She's got to be 5, 6, you know?
Sure. That makes sense.
I guess if you want to play gymnastics and really like do this movie's battles for it, fight its battles for it, you could say maybe she wasn't pregnant right at that point. She didn't know, but I feel like she did, especially with them inserting like the way she holds her stomach right before the door closes.
I just had never thought about it. For whatever reason. I just accepted like, oh, she found out later and then.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way you should read it. Otherwise you'll nitpick at it and be like, you know, I can say for sure, like when I saw that, I wasn't picking up on that cue. I felt just the way Bond does. Like, yeah, you fucked me over, man. Later. But in hindsight, after watching the movie on multiple viewings, like if she was pregnant, because she does say, I have something to tell you, like in the car right before they get shot up. She's like, I have something to tell you. It's like, fucking say it, man. Just say it. I'm pregnant. Right. It's like
he tells her. That's what he says. He says, yeah, I bet you do.
I feel like you could work on, you could hit him with some more body shots and kind of like loosen him up. Like, hey, I really didn't do this. Like, so, but anyway, you wouldn't have a movie if they did that. But I feel like they could have stitched that up a little bit tighter to make you buy it. Because that's the way I felt after rewatches. It's like, just say it. If you really were pregnant, just fucking say it. Also, those like little fucking minesweeper mines that he drops. Do you remember that scene when he's in the Aston Martin and he fucking takes that hard right and he peels out the car right on his ass and he drops those fucking like those little mines right behind him? That was sick. Yeah. I really liked that. That was fucking cool. So yeah, James is like fucking kick rocks later. You'll never see me again. And then we're 5 years later, time jump, second time jump. So he's in Jamaica, man, right near in the beach. Boy!
Before we get there, though,
This song sucks.
Yes, the song does suck. I do want to go over this though because it's the last one, and to me, I don't like the song, but that visual is fucking perfect. It's the way it incorporates all the movies. It starts off with the Casino Royale.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And the fucking when the car crashes into the desert, and it's the fucking Quantum of Solace desert, right?
Yeah.
And it literally hits them all, and then like the double helix with the guns firing the bullets. I was like, it's in his DNA, dog. Yeah, he just got it, dude. That intro, I love it. I love it.
It's got a real retro vibe, yet new school with it. With you got Billie Eilish singing, but I liked like the retro, like it has those like 3 dots right at the beginning, the way it goes across. Yeah. And they actually bring back the intro where he fucking turns and you're going down the barrel, no blood this time. I don't know what that means.
Symbolism.
What do you think of this song, Steve?
I think it sucked ass.
Really? You didn't like this one?
No, I didn't.
I like this one a lot.
I wanted to like it, and I think
I just couldn't.
Yeah, I wanted to. I just couldn't do it. And I didn't even pay that much attention to the visual component of it because I was just listening more than watching.
Sure.
Because I wanted to like it, like we talked about in the last one. I'm not a big Sam Smith guy, but I really like that song. So I was trying to give it a good chance, but I just don't get it. I'm not even saying it's a bad song necessarily. I just don't get it.
Was it that she sings too softly for most of the song?
I don't even know what it is exactly. I just didn't really like it.
It's it's very stripped down because it's really just her and like maybe a string chorus in the background that really revs up towards the end, but it's pretty like instrumental free. Compared to all the rest of them, but I really liked it because I had only known Billie Eilish as like this like fucking flavor of the month, kind of like really young, like super popular, and like her thing is like she doesn't really like. I think I've heard the knock like she's a good singer, but you haven't really like let her. She has never really let loose like with the pipes. That's kind of her trademark. She does that real whispery like. That crazy falsetto, whatever the fuck singing style. But I liked at the end, like when she hits that fucking No Time to Die at the end and really like fucking belts it out. I was like, whoa, that was fucking rad. What'd you think of the intro song? Where does this rank for you, John?
Quantum of Solace is the absolute worst. And then I would probably go this song.
At 4?
At 4. Skyfall is number 1. I guess I haven't really thought about this too much. Skyfall would be number 1. I think Spectre would be right there, like Skyfall, Spectre. I think it was hard for me too because coming off that Spectre, I went, dog, that was a fucking banger. And so like
it's
this
all the
just
octopus
felt,
imagery.
Yeah, dude.
Who did the Casino Royale one? I can't remember that one.
Chris Cornell.
Yeah, Chris Cornell.
Oh,
which is funny. We talked about this last time because I had never known him from anything else. Like, so that was the first time I'd ever heard like, and I was like, oh, this song's pretty cool actually.
That's a crazy intro to Chris Cornell.
Right? It is. I know. And I remember because coworkers at the time were like, how the fuck do you not know who this guy is? And I was just like, I just don't know, man. I don't know. And that's when I heard the other stuff. Because what is it? Audio Slave, right? And
Soundgarden.
Yeah, a lot of people are really going to be eating their fucking hat right now. But you got to remember, John's a little bit younger than us. I think you missed the grunge wave.
For sure.
I think you were pretty young when grunge was going on. But like Soundgarden was.
You didn't miss much, buddy.
Hey, don't lower yourself.
Don't rip your flannel off.
Yeah, I didn't. That's one of the first times I haven't watched a movie that you got. Usually when you guys cover it, I'll watch it and then listen. But the Clay Pigeons, I just missed that, and so it was weird to not know the movie and listen to it. And you
Yeah.
guys go up.
Yeah,
I
I'd
don't think-
recommend it. It's pretty fun.
It's a fun one.
It's fun to see Vince Vaughn, a young Vince Vaughn and Joaquin Phoenix in this kind of kooky movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Intro song. I thought it fucks. I really liked it a lot. There's a rock, like a screamo hardcore band called Our Last Night that did a cover of it that's pretty dope too, that I really like. But so yeah, now we're in Jamaica, Mon, and Bond's fucking, he's kind of broken, but he's got a sick fucking pad in Jamaica. He's just like sailing and fishing and fucking partying it up. I like how they inserted the new 007. They kind of like planted her, like just kind of like foreshadowing. You see her on the fucking little moped go by, and she bumps into him at the bar. But then we get Felix back, Felix Leiter.
Yeah.
I loved that they gave him more play in this, although he didn't stay for too long. But I liked, he seems different too. Like it showed an arc to him. He seems way more grizzled. Like he seems kind of like he's got a lot of city miles on him too. Just the way Bond does, you know, like
the job
working with a new guy.
The job break you down after a while.
Right.
Yeah, I really like their interaction. Like they pal around. They're playing this weird fucking drinking game. That they're having a lot of fun with. And so Felix Leiter's got Jeffrey Wright, dude. He kills it, man. He's awesome in everything.
Animal.
He's got a new CIA guy in tow, played by Billy Magnuson, who is Logan Ash. He's just like this clean cut, fucking still wet behind the ears looking white American piece of shit. I like the line.
Have either of you guys seen Game Night?
I have. Yeah, he's good in it. Yeah, he's really good in it.
He's so funny in that.
He was in another movie that. Yeah,
dude. Jesse Plemons as the fun cop neighbor.
Yeah.
If anybody has not seen that movie,
dude, Game Night's a lot of fun, man.
That's right.
It is.
I went into that movie like my wife was like, I want to go watch this. I'm like, this is gonna suck. And I went in with zero expectation. I had a lot of fun with Game Night, but dude, Jesse Plemons steals that fucking movie, dude. He is awesome. Cop, dude.
We've rewatched it a couple times, and it holds up.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, he's in that too. He was also in this guy, Billy Magnuson. He was pretty good in The Velvet Buzzsaw with Jake Gyllenhaal. It was like a Netflix exclusive that was really fun. It's kind of dark, kind of weird, kind of like Nightcrawler. Anywho, he's in tow with Felix, and Felix is like, "Come on, James, get back in the game." You know, like fucking, there's some shit popping off, and we gotta fucking, we need you for one more.
You did skip over.
Did I skip over the whole fucking bioterrorism chemical weapon scene?
Yeah, there's a Russian-sounding English scientist who gets kidnapped, and now the CIA is looking for him, and MI6 is looking for him for different reasons. But
I really like the cinematography of that, like the mirrors and the way it kind of folded down, and those like shape charges they used to break in. I thought those were fucking really cool. I liked this intro a lot. But yeah, they have some like high level fucking like crazy like shit called Heracles, and we'll get into that. But yeah, I did gloss over that whole part. But and I always forget it too. I've seen this is my third watch now, but that scene was pretty cool. And that fucking thing that they send down the elevator shaft, that weird like bomb thing that shoots off all those magnetic sensors, and they jump down. I thought that was pretty fucking rad.
It was,
and it was just like a throwaway thing. Like,
I mean,
you blink and you miss it.
I don't think it's too far-fetched either, like technologically. Same with the sort of DNA technology we get into later. I don't think that stuff is too far off.
No, especially the way you see the fucking AI and Chat GPT and all this shit is going. It seems like it's getting like, think about how like computers and phones and everything's like exponential. Like it just, like I shudder to think in like, not to be too Terminator 2 and Skynet about shit, but it's like, fuck, man, what's that shit gonna look like in 10 years? You know, who knows?
Right.
But then that like leaches over into other things too, like, you know, like chemical weapons, bioweapons, and like they're not going to stop funding and stop researching that shit. So at some point, yeah, it's totally realistic to think that could leach in and that could be like a reality in 20 years or less. Hopefully not. Yes, I did gloss over that scene, which is pretty important to all this, but
so back in
like that
Jamaica.
too. So now we're back in Jamaica. Leiter's trying to get fucking Bond back in the band, and he's like, nah, I'm good. He goes back home, and wouldn't you know it, his car won't start. He gets picked up by this gal, Nomi, need a ride. Third time we've seen her. So he gets a ride from her, and it turns out she's the new 007, which I didn't see this coming at all. Like, I guess people that had been following the movie and they had kind of been teasing stuff out that, and rumors were that there was going to be a new 007 in this movie. I kind of caught that right before I watched this, and I was like, oh, fuck. They're going to go in a really weird direction. And when you start this movie out, I thought, oh, shit, there is a new 007. This is her, you know, like, how are they going to attack this, like the plot, like where's this gonna go? So I liked all the change to it, definitely shook it up. And I like this actress, I can't remember, I think her name's Lashana Lynch. She was in she's been in a couple things that were dope. She was in Captain Marvel, she was Rambo. She was in something else that was dope that I liked her in a lot too, can't remember now. So they're talking, and it turns out that, you know, Bond's like, you know, she's like, you're gagging for some action, you know. She's like, you want to get back in, and she's like, well, be careful, I'm the new 007, so don't fuck with me or I'll shoot your knee that works, you know. And kind of setting up, like, Bond's like chewing on it, and he's like, all right, fuck it, I'm back. And he calls up Felix, and he's like, all right, I'll see you in Cuba, because they got a lead on like where this Oberchev guy, who he's like the brains behind this biochemical fucking weapon, and that he's in Cuba. So Bond's like,
I took that as she pushed him into it. Like, he was really kind of on the fence about it, you know what I mean? And it wasn't his ego for sure. He got in his shit and was like, look, old man, this is the way it is. And he's like, all right, you, Felix. Yep.
Well, dude, then he calls, because, at that point I was thinking, well, why did he join the CIA instead of MI6? It's because when he called M, he could tell that they were, like, covering some shit up and it was dirty.
Yeah,
and they
he
knew
was
more.
frazzled.
I was like, all right, well, fuck you guys. If I'm coming back, it's not going to be to help you. I'm going to help my boys over in Langley.
I think he took a little bit of umbrage too when she's like, hey, don't fucking get involved, or don't fuck around, or I'll shoot your other knee, or like, you know.
That was really cute.
Well, whatever. But I think he took that as like a knock to his ego, because he's like, I don't tell your boss I don't work for him anymore. It's like, I can do whatever the fuck I want, you know. I'm Commander Bond, motherfucker. I did like one line we glossed over when when they're back in the bar and Felix is trying to get him to join.
Help us get this into the right hands.
Oh, what? You're the right hands.
I'm not just a pretty face.
I really like that part. I'm not just, and then he's like, you know, I told you I don't trust anybody anymore. And he's playing hard to get big time. And then he's like, all right, I'll see you in Cuba, which this opens up. And this is probably one of my favorite, like, this is kind of like an interlude to the movie because it's so fucking long. But what do you think of Ana de Armas, who plays Paloma in this, Steve? I'm curious to see what you...
I liked her. I thought she did a good job. She was a badass. I kind of thought she would play a more pivotal role later on.
I did too.
Here's my prediction, without spoiling something people already know, that 007 is now what's her name. I think this gal is going to be like the new Felix for the CIA, and what Numi is the new Bond. So I can't imagine she's gone forever, because, I mean, her character is pretty badass, and honestly more...
Lots of personality.
Yeah. And Honestly, I believed her more as a badass than I did Nomi.
Really?
Yeah, I just wasn't buying it.
Yeah, I wasn't too until this third watch now. Towards the end, I bought Nomi a little bit more because she kind of flexes nuts at the end a little bit more. But
if you got into a fist fight with her 100 times, do you think you would win 99 times or 100?
Way less. She'd probably body me.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's cute.
I'd probably go 50-50. But yeah, she's awesome. But I like their whole like interplay. Like it's kind of like she's like really green. She's like new, but she's also got some street smarts to her, and she's just like rolling with the punches, and she's just like in flow state with Bond. Like I really liked it a lot. And I feel like a piece of trivia is so right before this started filming, Daniel Craig was in Knives Out with Ana de Armas, and I guess he liked her so much they got along famously and they were looking to try and fill last minute this Paloma role, and he went to the directors, producers, whatever. He's like, you need to get Ana de Armas, she's fucking rad. And they're like, okay. And so he really liked her a lot, and I feel like that knowing that this time you can really see like he's got little glances at her, and like their whole interplay is really cool. And like even at the end you can see him, he's just like fucking chuffed to the gills. He's like, you were excellent, he's like, well, I'll see you next time, like he was stoked with working with her. But yeah, she fucking kills it, man. And even that line where she's like, oh, I'm only 3 weeks training in. I guess she had only done 3 weeks of like fight choreography, and she was worried about her performance, and the director Fukunaga was like, no, you're fucking killing this shit. And she kept saying that. She's like, say that line in the movie. So that's why like at the end he's like 3 weeks, huh? And she's like, yeah, give or take, so I thought that was kind of neat that they put that in the movie. But that's cool. All her fight scenes and like her rocking the fucking like assault rifle and the handgun and just doing all that crazy shit in fucking like stiletto heels was super rad. And like the fun scene like when there's like a lull in the action, and then they roll up to the bar and he fucking pours 2 drinks real fast, and she's like, vamos. He's like, let's go. And then it's like, boom, boom. Like the music in this whole Cuban scene, like the action. I fucking this was probably one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
John, what do you say?
She was great.
She's become a fan favorite. So yeah, I guarantee they'd be stupid not to like sprinkle her in or try to get her in some capacity in future Bonds for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, with Felix dead and Bond dead, these gals have got to be the next generation of
girl power.
Boss bitch.
Yas queen.
Yeah. It's going to be the new No Time to Die. It'll just be James Bond. Yas queen.
Yes, queen.
Yeah.
I think they kind of teased it though. Like when she like gave up, she's like, no, you can be called 007. I think that was her kind of like pushing back in the studio, and the filmmakers being like, okay, yeah, she like had her run, but she realizes she's not like this level of 007 dope, because I know they're actively shopping for a new male lead for the 007. So maybe they'll bring her back as like a 004 or something. But yeah, definitely. I mean, Ana de Armas.
That would feel weird to the story. I don't understand. That would be weird.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. If they're gonna do like a crazy like full on reboot, or if they're gonna try and explain like the name carrying to a new person, because they do say at the end of this film James Bond will return. So, which we'll find out is it's not going to be Daniel Craig, but we knew that going into this because this is his last film. And we all knew that, especially with his fucking, I'd rather break glass and like fucking slip my wrist or whatever. I read something about that in the trivia too, and he tried to walk it back. I'm sure after the studio was like, hey, what are you doing? We're going to give you a fucking bag, dude. Like, stop.
I imagine it was like a negotiating technique. Like, no, I don't want to come back under any circumstance. And they're like,
true too.
Here's $100 million. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound so bad now.
I mean, I did see kind of a laundry list of like the shit. Like he had to have reconstructive surgery on like his shoulder. He fucked up his knee. That's why like when she's like, "I'll shoot your good knee," that's actually from real life too, because when he's got a bad knee from filming all these fucking things. He broke his ankle making this, just like he tripped over a fucking coffee table or some shit. But I mean, he did have a lot of wear and tear to himself through his 15-year tenure doing this thing. But at any rate, so yeah, we get out of Cuba, and then that cues we get onto this like rickety ass boat in the sea.
Well, you're glossing over the gassing scene, which is meant to kill Bond, but instead it kills every member of Spectre.
Right.
Because our friend Boris, or whatever the fuck his name is,
Obrachev, you find out, is actually working for not Spectre, some other ultra secret fucking mad villain, crazy guy that has a vendetta. So it's like the enemy of my enemy is my fucking friend kind of thing. Yeah. So he swaps like this gas, like whatever, the trigger to it or whatever. And so it just so happens, every single agent and representative of Spectre's at this fucking free swinging ass Cuban fucking deluxe party. So they all get taken out.
Got kidnapped, right? Like we find that out when he gets kidnapped, because he's like sitting there right when they're all about to get him. He gets the phone call like, hey, they're on their way. It's fucking go time. And he's like, oh shit. All right. And he gets the thumb drive, and then he gets all the information onto the thumb drive. Right. And so it was like almost like at least this is the way I understood it. So Spectre is showing up to take him, to break him out, to get him to go do their bidding. Right. Well, dude knows that that's happening. And so he hits him like, hey, get ready, because Spectre is coming. This is what we've been talking about. This is what we've been working towards. They're coming to get you. So now I thought he develops that key right there with that's the whole thumb drive thing, when they get him and he swallows it and then they take him.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Right? Because that Cyclops dude with the fucking robot eye or whatever, he's working for Spectre. Right. And it is kind of hard to suss that out because there's a lot of shit going on, but he's out of the loop until everyone in Spectre gets wiped out except for him. Why didn't he get wiped out? Because he was part of Spectre. That's kind of a plot thing you have to deal with. But the Cyclops dude is like, he turns coat and fucking joins Safin later on. Right. But he thought he was doing the bidding of Spectre, and he was trying to take out James Bond. Whereas this other guy, Obrachev, who's the fucking chemical fucking nerd. What is it from The Rock? Chemical weapons super freak, actually. Stanley Goodspeed. He takes matters into his own hands, or he's working for Safin, and he's like, no, we're wiping out Spectre in one fell swoop. Yeah. That is an important point we glossed over, but so Spectre's done for, and James Bond's like, okay, this is my new target, like that I got a key on this Obrachev guy, like this is my focus now. So he takes him to Felix on this boat, and it turns out fucking Logan Ash is actually working for Safin and not the CIA. He puts one into fucking Felix's belly. There's a tussle with Bond, and then that's when we get they get locked down in like the cargo hold, and Ash absconds with all the chemical shit, and Obrachev gets on the plane, leaves Felix and Bond for dead, like puts like a fucking shape charge or some crazy shit on the boat. They start sinking. Felix is dying. I loved this point of levity that they slipped in that I wasn't expecting, and especially this rewatch. It's 5 seconds of dialogue, but it ties together I like Bond and Felix's relationship. Like,
it's like back when I was a kid on a trip over. You're from Milwaukee.
That part fucking killed me this time. That reminds me when I was a kid. He's like, "You're from Milwaukee, motherfucker." He's like, I thought I made that up.
Yeah. His reply was the funniest part about that. Like, oh shit, I thought I made that up.
Yeah. I love that. And the other part too, before the boat starts sinking, he's like he's like bleeding out from his stomach. And then Bond's like, all right, you wait here. He's like, I'm gonna find us a way out. And Felix is like, all right, I'll be over here. Like, but yeah, like this stuff, and then fucking Felix eats it, you know, he's like, make it worth it, man. Like the fucking ship's going down, Bond's gotta let him go, and he fucking dies in his arms. Like I feel like they were able to pack a lot into like a small amount of time, like that I really bought that, like he was really bummed, and like, you know, shit that you didn't see in movies between, like they had palled around and there was an actual bond there, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that one hit me. I was like, fuck, I wish he would have, because he's such a dope actor and I like the character too. I wish he would have stuck around more, but it was kind of it was a good gut punch too at the same time to fucking fuel Bond's fire. So after this, there's a lot of kind of like meandering and like Bond's trying to fucking, he's like, all right, I need to see Blofeld, like, cause he fucking orchestrated some shit. He tried to take me out, but there's this other threat, this in the ether that's floating around that both Bond and Blofeld don't know who the fuck it is. Cause Blofeld got tripped up in this situation because he thought he had Bond dead to rights, you know. So there's someone above that's fucking with them. And then this brings Madeline back into the fold because she's the only side. This is a problem I had this time too. It's just like, really, she's the only one that Blofeld will talk to. She's somehow been like on MI6's payroll as like their all-star fucking psychiatrist, like psychologist or whatever. So that conveniently brings back her and Bond into a fucking weird, awkward situation. They have to interrogate Blofeld. I'm probably glossing over a couple points here, but for time, Safin actually fucking meets back up with Madeline too earlier. And
that was a pretty good.
Hey,
that was a good scene.
That was pretty fucking creepy. Because she was a kid when she saw him, and she only saw his mask, and when she blew him away, he still had like 3/4 of mask. So this guy Safin comes in, played by Rami Malek, who's a real fucking, he seems like he's like this in real life. Like he seems like a fucking, like a David Blaine, like devil kind of guy. Yeah, like he's in a cult or something in real life, a la like Jared Leto or something. But yeah, he comes back and it's like they beat around the bush for a little while, and it's like, yeah, it's me, the fucking guy who killed your family or your mom, but I saved you. And what was your guys' take on this? Did you feel like he was after her because he wanted to be like some kind of like father figure to her, or was he trying to fuck and like bring her on as like a concubine? This is kind of leaching into like later on too, when he's got his eyes on her, like he's trying to get, or was he just trying to fuck over Bond for some reason? Like, what was your guys' opinion about his designs on her
for taking her?
Yeah. And for like reinserting himself into like knowing who she is, and like he abducts her and her child later on. Like he's got a plan. Like he's been thinking about this. Did you look at it like, I'm trying to like I have a connection, like I'm trying to like be with her, or I'm trying to like, what was your opinion on what he was trying to do with her?
I thought he was just trying to get to Blofeld,
and that's it.
And I mean, obviously the other stuff happens, but I feel like initially it was like he was trying to get to Blofeld, and then that Bond interrupts something, right? Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but then he gets his eyes set on Bond for a different reason, and he knows that the key to him is her, and so that's why. I don't know. That's a good.
I saw it the other way around. Like Bond is incidental in all this because he has that connection to Madeline from the beginning, the opening of the movie. Like he killed her mom, and then he even talks about too later on, I think, something about like, you know, saving a life is just as like impactful or affecting as taking a life, kind of thing. And I think something about him like seeing her under the water and then him saving her. something did that.
He said something about her eyes, like seeing her eyes under the water. He's like looking at this child in the water. Oh, right, that's right. He talks about that, and then he talks about saving her, so he felt that attachment to her, right? Because he was like, after that, then it was he had always seen her from afar because and that's when he says the line, "Saving a life is more impactful than taking a life." So yeah, I guess he just feels connected to her. I've never thought about this before. That's crazy. I don't think it was just like a fuck thing. I think it was like a deeper connection.
Okay.
Well, so this is one of my biggest points of confusion about the movie, where so he saves her under the water, and then what? Because she ends up back with her dad, Mr. White, who this guy purportedly came there to kill, but he didn't kill him. So why did he let her go back to her dad, not kill him?
He fucks off for 20 years.
So I will say this villain is probably my least favorite.
He's the weakest, I feel like.
I do like the method of his evil, like with the DNA stuff. Yeah. I think I like that maybe the most of all of the movies. But
yeah, he's very fucking nefarious. Like he's got like his plans, his ultimate plan is pretty fucked up.
But his character is pretty annoying, and I don't know if it's maybe just his acting that I found to be not believable. But you find out later, when he's talking to Bond, he's like, we both love her, so yeah, he's saying that
yes, that's true. That's a good point.
But that's confusing because he fell in love with her when she was like 6, 7 years old, and
she's very young.
And
that raises a lot of questions about that, but maybe it started off like he felt a connection, like a familial or like I saved you, like hero kind of complex or something, and then later as she got older, it turned to a different kind of affection. But I couldn't tell at the end. I felt like he wanted to have some kind of fucked up like Manson family kind of live on my fucked up poison island and we'll grow plants and I'll make
because he didn't want the kid, right?
Subject. Yeah, it seemed like he at some point he probably would have like blinded her or fucking like given her some plant.
He said that James could leave, the kid could leave, but she had to stay.
Right.
Yeah, so it's something about her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was just fixated on her. Okay. Yeah, I was curious to see if it was more like he wanted to just protect her and like saw her as like a sister or like a familial, or if it was more like it had morphed into, no, I want to make you mine, like make you my concubine, or like just be with me and rule this my evil plan and live that out kind of thing. But anyway,
I had this note on the villain too because I was curious about how you guys felt about it. Because to me, it was funny to hear you both say he was the weakest villain. I had it written down. It was like I liked him better than a lot of the other villains, and to me, he seemed he was very similar to the Quantum of Solace villain, right? Where it was just like just this kind of like soft, small, like I don't know. I hated that about him in Quantum of Solace, right? But this guy, for whatever reason, and I think you kind of hit on it, like answered my own question in the sense of you talking about like the grand scheme and how nefarious and wild his shit is. And, maybe that's why because to me, he's a way better villain than that guy. But they feel like that. Very similar characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, compared to Quantum of Solace, is that what you're saying?
Right. Like that, the main villain from Quantum of Solace and him, they seemed like very, very similar villains. But he was just way better though. To me, Safin was way better than Mr. Green.
Okay, so I would agree with you, mostly because Quantum of Solace, like you guys have mentioned, was so forgettable. I almost don't even remember it.
Right.
Sure.
And so even though this villain is not as good in my mind, the story is good enough to where it sort of elevates him above Quantum of Solace, which was very, very forgettable. I mean, it's tough because you're going up against, even though the guy in Casino Royale was sort of really underdeveloped, I still really like him as a villain.
Yeah.
And then you've got Javier Bardem and Christoph Waltz,
God
who,
tier.
yeah, and I was hoping for a little more out of Christoph Waltz in this one, because when they brought him back, I was like, okay, he's gonna fulfill the prophecy of what I was hoping for in the last one, which I thought felt a little short. Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't end up happening, but
I do like
it's
that
tough
scene,
company. I really like that scene too.
Yeah, it is hard for the Safin guy, especially stacked against Bardem, who to me he's top guy for sure. But yeah, to me, I would agree it's a toss up between Christoph Waltz and this guy Rami Malek. And even though he is better than the Quantum of Solace guy, just something about his
demeanor,
his role as this villain, who like his character, I feel like it's got a lot. It's very generic, it's kind of a plug and play kind of situation. He doesn't add a lot of himself to it. He's very kind of like way back and like quiet and talks like this and blah blah blah. But Blofeld, though, I agree. It kind of fizzled out. It was just like strike two, he didn't match up what I was hoping for in Spectre in this one either, but I did like points when he's talking to James and he's telling him like, yeah, I wanted to give you an empty world, and even at the end when he's all cuckoo, and he's like, he's fucking with him, like the way he manipulated him and he fucked him over, like losing 5 years of his only child that he'll never get to fucking see, and like the love of his life and all this. It's like that's pretty hardcore, man. Gut punch. Like, yeah, I fucking did that to you.
Well, I think it was a lack of
both ways too.
I think it was a lack of story more than a lack of acting for Christoph.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're all big fans of his, and yeah, I liked him fine, but I would agree that like he did what he could with the role, like how, with what he's given, how much more could he? It's like he can't reverse engineer what he's being fed and told what to say, and like the plot line of like his manipulation of Bond. So, he's got a lot of credit with me from Inglourious Bastards and Django. Like it would take like 10 more movies where I'm like, yeah, maybe it is this guy, but I did like some points of that. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. That was totally missed opportunity, but I'm sure he got cheesed up for this too. But
unrealized idea. Unrealized.
Dude, quick tangent. You sent me a fucking
yes.
Dude, you sent me a
Larry King
the
interview
Bill Hips Paxton segment.
Yeah.
Steve sent me a text of a link to a YouTube clip. It was like a 3-minute clip of Bill Hips Paxton on Larry King Live talking, and he's talking about his time when he was on Titanic. He has a real bit role in Titanic, but I think he's pals with James Cameron because he was in Aliens, and he's probably he seems like they're buds, but he put him in this role in Titanic, and he's talking about a time when somebody like they were filming in like Nova Scotia or some shit, and someone, he said that we never found out who it was, but someone spiked the clam chowder at the like, craft service table, was feeding the cast and crew and everything. Someone spiked the fucking clam chowder with PCP. And so I'm thinking like, 100 to 300 people, like thinking about like camera operators to gaffers to electricians to actors to everyone. And because he's like, yeah, we had this clam chowder, and then we noticed, there's all this ambulance and everyone's coming down and like shit's popping off. And someone went to him, he's like, are you feeling okay? Did you have any of the clam chowder? And he's like, yeah, I had a couple bowls, and he's like, he finds out the clam chowder was spiked with PCP, and he talks about like different people are reacting different ways, like out on the set, and like some people are going batshit crazy, some people are rolling with it, some people are high and just fucking like whatever. And then he's like, yeah, now that you mention it, kind of thing, I'm starting to feel. And so at this point, I was like, our boy Paxton, he's been around the way, like he's partied before, and he says, so it's like me and Jim Cameron. I mentioned to Jim, he's like, I'm going to go get a case of beer and fucking, rub some dirt on it and walk this thing off and go back to my hotel. And he's like, and that's what I did. And we went our separate ways. And then he's like, and I was fine, kind of thing. It's like, dude, he wore being poisoned by PCP by getting a case of beer and like walking through town and going back to his hotel. And he's like, I'm fine. And there's like ambulance and paramedics like dealing with these people that have been dosed. Like, I was like, dude, he is the extreme. Like, that's so fucking rad. Like,
people chewing their fucking foot off in the emergency room, and he's like, I'm just gonna head out.
He's just polishing off a fucking 12 or a Coors Light, and he's like, all right, I'll see you in the morning, kind of thing. It was like so understatedly like badass move. Yeah. Like, all right, yeah, I've been around the block a few times. Anyway, huge tangent, but we filled our Bill Paxton quota.
It. I'm glad that came up.
I will link that in the show notes. I shared it with a couple people after you sent that my way, dude. That was a fun respite during the week. I was like, he is the man. Anyway, so I think we just followed up from Safin. What's he got going on?
Yeah, so now Blofeld is dead, and Swan tells Bond that she's going home. So he tracks her back to Norway.
They're in like Norway or some shit.
Which, goddamn, that looks like beautiful country.
Oh, fuck, man. Crazy. And this is her childhood home, right?
Yeah.
Because you see the spiral staircase and everything. Because at the beginning, it's like fucking like frozen tundra, and now it's like spring, summer there, and it's like idyllic and looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super awesome. One of the things that I think is lacking in a lot of other Bond films, again, that I haven't seen many pre-Pierce Brosnan, but this one, I feel like it really goes for like a dramatic, like kind of romantic, like it tries to hit you in the feels kind of more than any other Bond. When he's like talking to Madeline, he breaks down and he's like, I fucked up. Like, I should have trusted you, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I could go in a rabbit hole, but I'm not. I don't want to. But yeah, I like emotionally, like he's about to cry and shit, and like he's talking to her, and he's like, I fucked the dog. Like I should have trusted you. Like I've always loved you. I've always had you in the back of my mind. Blah blah blah. They get back together, and they're holing up, and even like he wakes up in the morning, and he doesn't know it yet, but it's his daughter Mathilde, who's like 5 or 6. And she's like, I'm hungry in French, whatever the fuck that is. And he's like, okay. And I thought it was kind of a sweet moment where he like wakes up and he fucking makes her breakfast. And he's like, what do you think? He's like, it's a weird juxtaposition to see like in this quick moment, like James Bond playing dad for
something
5
you've never
minutes.
seen even close before in the entirety of the series. Like it was definitely,
Which is so weird because this series of 5 is supposed to be the prequel, which is also very confusing to me. If he dies at the end of the prequel. But again, I thought it was also very, I don't want to say cheap, but you could tell they were really pulling on the heartstrings.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Totally. Because he even says he's like, is she mine? And I wish she would have added some more weight to this, but she's like, she's not yours, James.
I don't even think he asked. I thought she just said,
I think he has like a
over and over. She's like, she's not yours. She's not.
She says it. She says it 2 times, like in sequence, because I think he has like a glance at her or something. Like he looks, and she's like reading his fucking mind, and is like, "Yeah, she's not yours. Yeah, she's not yours." And he's like, "Okay, ship shape." We were not together for 5 years. Looks to be about 5. I was giving you pipe for sure. Who else? You don't seem like the one night stand kind of girl, very like guarded person. Like, so I wish there would have been more. Like, she would have like supplied some evidence or said, no, I fucked this dude in fucking Nicaragua or something. It's not yours. But at any rate, like, they're holding up, and then he calls into like M, like, hey, because he's like, hey, it's Logan Ash, this guy for the CIA. He's the turncoat. Get Nomi 007 on her or on him, and Q. We haven't even talked about Q at this point. I liked Q a lot. In this film, he was pretty fun in this.
He was great.
He's got those hairless fucking cats. James Bond's like, hey, they make these with fucking hair.
So gross. Yeah. I love cats, but goddamn, that is an abomination.
Yeah, hairless cats are kind of weird, man. They've definitely got like that Egyptian fucking, like a weird vibe going on there. Yeah, can't trust them. But yeah, I thought that was fun, kind of seeing a slice of life and the day of Q, and like when he's looking at the camera and he sees Bond, like who he thinks is dead with Moneypenny. He's like, oh fuck. He's like, this was never a 9 to 5, was it? Like. And
or what's the Mallory line when he comes in and like dude, that shit had me.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's been. What does he say? He says some shit to him. He's like, I already know. He says some shit to him. And
cut the shit. I know you guys.
Yeah. It's so. He's like, dude, you're the worst liar in the history of liars. But
dude, he's so good.
I love when like I think they're back to like, they're in their old ways and like they're doing the debriefing and shit. And it's like, yeah, the fucking Heracles, the virus, it's nanobots and shit. And then Bond's like, how do I get rid of this shit? And then Q's like,
how do I get this off?
Oh, you can't. Nanobots aren't just for Christmas.
That one where he's like, he's kind of nervous and he's like, nanobots aren't for Christmas. Like, yeah, I liked him a lot in this one too. It kind of rounded out their relationship, because if you look back at Skyfall, he looks like he's like fresh out of high school or like fucking college or whatever. He's super wet behind the ears, and yeah, I like how he's like back on the team, with him and Moneypenny. They're like, all right, you got to get me to Blofeld. And he's
kind of become like the quirky Q from the rest of the series at this point too. You know what I mean? Because we talked about it in the beginning. It was, he was kind of more serious, and it was like he got the gun and the fucking radio, right? And he's like, kind of smooth operator, like just chill, not a whole lot. And then now he's cracking fucking jokes, and he's like, he kind of comes full circle, like to the character that you know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. Like him and Bond have been around the block a few times with one another, so, so from here, so then we're in Norway, and then I think, M phones, Bond after he's just cooked up fucking flapjacks and apple slices, and he's like, any word on 007, how's she tracking the Logan Ash character? And they send the coordinates, and they're like, yeah, she's onto him. And then he looks and he's like, oh fuck, it's Norway. It's like he's coming for me, she's coming for him. Okay, it's like, all right, get in the car, 5-year-old, into the Range Rover, and we're about to fucking do some high intensity fucking stunt driving and murdering, which I love. This whole scene was fucking super cool. Yeah. Even when they're driving on the highway and they say the two cars coming by, like the tension, they're like, oh fuck, maybe they know it's not us, or we have a little bit more time. And then just as they crest the hill, you see the two cars flip a bitch and come back, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, it's on. What'd you guys think of this whole the scene of like the car chase before we get to like the fucking haunted forest? Yeah. And the chopper. I loved all this.
Yeah, it was great. It was a nice change of pace from Steve's big complaint with the last one was the last big car chase, right? Where it's the fucking
plane with no wings.
Right.
Yeah.
This one definitely felt way more realistic.
Yeah.
I love the forest part. The car chase, that was fine. Didn't have any problems with it. But then once they got into the forest,
yes,
that was one of my.
I knew you would like this because I knew you're like an Expendables like Equalizer fan. Like the way like Bond's just like, all right, I'm kicking it into like badass gear, and he fucking like he's taking out cars left and right, and then they get into the forest, and he's got to turn into like the guerrilla warfare like Braveheart style, like fuck shit up. And when he gets that one car to flip, what's he do? He notices like the machine gun that he takes from the dude he just kills has like one of those fucking M203 grenade launchers, and he fucking just grenade blasts a car, and then he takes that winch and he does that guillotine, and he just does like a and gets that motorcycle to come over. Dude, that part was so dope. I loved that part.
Yeah.
Would you call that a trope where you drop the where he takes it? It's like you got somebody, and you go, "Hey, stay here, stay safe. I gotta go take care of business." And then they
I'll be right back.
And they gear up and they just ball the fuck out, and it's all for nothing.
Yeah. Ultimately, it is. But I did like, I feel like they lingered on it just long enough to feel like you got a little bit of justice, a little bit of revenge factor for Felix. Like they tied that back because and even in that scene too, like right after he takes that dude out on the motorcycle with the fucking with the winch guillotine was fucking sick. And then Ash is there in the last Range Rover, and he starts firing him. I love how he just wears like a couple bullets like whiz by him, and he walks like he's not like in fight or flight mode. Like he just fucking like, all right, I'm gonna walk over here, and then he like his situational awareness. He's like, oh, okay, they're gonna try to run me over. There's this log. He's gonna flip, and he fucking walks over. They flip out, and then I really like this part how they kind of linger on Ash for a little bit. Like he flies out of the car, and the car's being held by this fucking lone tree branch, or whatever. And he's talking to him. He's like, you'll never get out alive or whatever and all this. And he's like, just help me, brother. And he's like, I had a brother named Felix Leiter, and he fucking pushes the car down. He's all, ah! Dude, I loved that. Cause to me, it tied back. He's like, okay, you're getting your comeuppance for fucking over Felix, and you're gonna get smushed by this car right now. I like that a lot. But it is very tropey, like, and then he's like, oh shit, Madeline and the kid, and he fucking runs back, and of course she's gone. She's in the chopper, Safin's got her, and he's like, fuck. So then this sets the stage for the third act, I guess, the last part of the film, the Big Bang. We get some exposition from Q and friends at MI6 that Safin's mega villain crazy base is somewhere in between contested waters in between Russia and Japan. We got some info from Japanese intelligence that he's holed up in an old World War II chemical plant. So this sets the stage for our final battle at the Alamo.
I love this. This last act to me, brings it all. This is like your big payoff. This is your 5-movie fucking big payoff right here.
I liked because up until this point we haven't touched on it, but the new 007 Nomi and Bond, up until this point, I think they've been pretty kind of tit for tat, like back and forth. Like they respect one another at a certain level, but there's the ego is like they're playing ping pong with each other. Like a couple lines where, it's like, oh, we'll see 007 now. And she's like, oh, I meant Bond, or, like there's some ego swinging, some dick swinging going about the 007 mantle. But right at this point, when we get to the final act and Nomi understands what's at stake, and like Bond's got going with Madeline, and like, it seems like it's understood that's actually his kid and everything. She's like, I'm going with you, and they fucking get in this glider, and like that whole scene where what's he say? He's like, gravity's your friend or something. It's like, take it easy. And then Bond gets in the thing with her, and she's like, have you ever flown one of these? And she's like, nope. And she's like, boom, and they fucking drop out. I thought that was super cool.
Dude, yeah, that's the fairly strong. Fairly strong. When the fucking talking about the watches, that shit kills me, dog. He's like, oh, use this near any transmitters or receivers. And he's like, how strong is it? And he's like, fairly strong. Fairly strong. Oh fuck, dude, it's so good. It's just that their interaction, their bickering, like it's so good.
Hell yeah. So yeah, Q's like he's the guy in the chair on this plane that's encircling the island, and Nomi and James go down on this crazy like fucking glider / turns into a fucking submarine thing, and they insert themselves like in the back end of the island, and they go in and they finally find Oberchev, and he does his exposition dump of like, this is the master plan, like we're going to use Heracles to fucking take out like millions of fucking people indiscriminately, and then we get like the intro to like, we get like the actual full on, this is what Safin's trying to do. He makes that play with James. Like, yeah, you can take the girl, you can take your daughter, the little girl, and I keep Madeline, and that's the fucking deal. And you let me do whatever the fuck I want. And James like, I can't do that. Nope, fuck this. And like shit pops off. But I thought this is where it felt a little disingenuous, because so Safin, he has every right, like his whole family was killed by Spectre and by this guy, Mr. White. He's taken out Mr. White's part of their family. He's got some weird kind of like redemption thing going on with saving his daughter. And then he kills all of Spectre, who was behind his whole family getting murdered. And then he just reverts to like a fucking generic carbon copy, like God complex fucking villain, like how he's like, I'm the invisible God. Some people need to be told what they need to do, and like, and they want to be ordered around, and everyone secretly wants oblivion, and there's few people in the world that can give it to them, and I'm one of them. And he's like, I'm their invisible God. And like, it really didn't land for me. Like I felt like it took away everything from him, like that he had going for him. I mean, he just turned into like a cookie cutter, like megalomaniacal villain at this point that I really didn't like at all. And he's soft too to begin with. Maybe if he had more charisma, or if he brought something, if there was something more in the writing or the acting that he could have brought to the table, he would have been a better villain, and the stakes would have felt a little bit greater. But I feel like the stakes in this point with James are just trying to get Madeline and Mathilde back and somehow escaping all this madness on this fucked up island.
Well, and he also lets
the villain was like secondary.
And he also lets the kid go.
That part was fucking weird. Like he bites his fucking hand. She bites his hand. He's like, yeah, well, fuck off. I didn't want to fucking raise you anyway.
I can't protect you. Like, well, that was your biggest bargaining chip, was that fucking kid. So,
right.
And you just let her go. And then he again, back to like the generic villain. He's like, all right, let's go. Our first buyers are here. It's like,
yeah.
So you're just trying to make a boatload of fucking money and kill a bunch of people. It's like, it goes against your whole like God complex. Well, I guess you're trying to get paid too while you're doing it. Kill two birds with one stone. But I don't know. It just felt, at this point, it felt very generic to me.
Well, yeah. What if you give that technology over to your potential enemy?
Yeah, and then you die, and then.
What can you guys tell? I never figured it out. So, what the fuck exactly is it?
So they can imprint. They have, all these files, these DNA profiles of people that can be taken out, and they can pinpoint. So not only whoever it touches, this Heracles virus or whatever the fuck, but also the closest descendants DNA wise, but I couldn't tell, is that immediate family? Like how far do these nanobots how far is their reach? Because at a certain point, if you're releasing it to like as many people as he was wanting to, it's like, wouldn't that ultimately just take out everyone on the fucking planet? Because everyone's connected at a certain point that you get to, so yeah.
That was my biggest issue with the movie, is I feel like that never was really fully explained. Like, it's just like it's nanobots and it attaches to people, and when it does, I don't even know exactly what it like. So how are carriers the ones that trigger, like, if you drink a plant, now you are a carrier to kill people with nanobots?
So however they weaponized it, like with Madeline, she had it weaponized in that little spritzer thing that looked like a lipstick thing or whatever the fuck. So it's aerosolized or it's airborne or whatever. So if it's been programmed by that Obrachev guy,
right,
to target, like, okay, and he's like built it into the virus, like, I want it to target this person or this. He even talks about later, he's like, I can target, that's what gets Nomi like her badass cred. Also, by the way, we don't see it through the whole film, but there's a point after Nomi kicks Obrachev into the fucking acid bath, because he's like, if I wanted to, I could take out your whole subset of West African fucking race if I wanted to. And she's like, fuck you, and like boots him into the acid. I really like that. She's like, fuck it, this guy's expendable now. But dude,
you know what time it is, dog?
There's a point where you see her fucking dump her, dude. She's got a back on her, and when she's on that like catwalk up there, I noticed that this time she like does this bend down. I was like, oh god damn. But yeah, so I think you can engineer a specific like batch to point at this person or he even goes so far as saying like a whole ethnicity, and then whoever is related, like DNA wise, to that thing, if they get a whiff of it, or if you get close to them, or if contact, touch, whatever, then it'll get them too. So that yeah, that's the way I understood. Like they could basically like weaponize and target who they wanted to.
Yeah, the idea basically is, if you have a person or people's DNA, you can construct a pathogen to specifically attack that person or that group of people. That's how they got like all the Spectre people, and that's how they got James with his wife and daughter later.
But they have to come in contact with a certain person, though, right? Essentially, is what it is. So it's like there's some kind of activator, some kind of activation or something.
Right, like when James grabs Blofeld, he grabs him physically. But it also seems, too, like if you're just in like the general area, like real close to him, maybe it doesn't even require touch. But at any rate, that's what Safin, I think they foreshadowed at the beginning, like he wanted a custom made fucking locket or chest piece or keychain or something that had some shit in it that was keyed into Bond's or Madeline's DNA, which would tie to their kid. And that's when we get the fucking, I may be glossing over a point or two here, but this whole last action sequence I thought was really cool. Although, I mean, they really take it to 11 on the fact that it's like this one dude is just laying waste to dozens and dozens of like highly trained motherfuckers, and him and Nami just fucking mow him down like no problem. That's one thing that I thought about from Spectre, is like at the end when he gets out of that fucking crazy chair, and I thought it was too easy. Like he was on like the easiest setting, and he was able to get out of that Blofeld's lair out in the desert or whatever. I felt shades of that in this too, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like it felt literally like he was playing on like easy mode. Just the way he was able to fucking move in this entire complex so easily, but it is a Bond film. Kind of have to suspend disbelief.
Oh yeah.
I did like some of the points, like where the grenade gets thrown on him, and he's like, "Oh fuck!" and he throws it back up, and it blows up.
Yeah.
And then there's like 5 that rain down on him, and he's like, "Oh shit!" and he just wears it like a sweater, like he just dives out of the way, and the concussion does nothing to him. They did filter in that audio thing too, but I feel like you can sense on him, like from him entering that island to the end when he gets to the final showdown with Safin, like he's got some problems even before Safin shoots him. Like it took a lot to get through those 35 fucking henchmen, but I that's another knock I would have, is that it felt a little easy, and maybe they could have reduced the numbers that were coming at him and inserted maybe a more hardcore fight scene with that Cyclops dude, because that was pretty quick the way he dispatches him. But
or even finding the child. I mean, they just fucking
it's like, oh, here she is.
Yeah. Oh, she's right here under this.
I
table.
hid just like you told me to on this island that I've never been before. This underground crazy fucking fortress. So so I mean, getting right to the heart of the matter, we end up with, well, fuck, we glossed over a couple things, but there happens to be a fucking British Navy ship, and then there's international intrigue going on, like we can't be here, this and that, and then Bond's like, you gotta fucking rain down missiles on this motherfucker because he's sitting on a lot of shit that's gonna kill millions of people. I gotta save the world, yada yada. That kind of felt a little generic to me, but he's like, yeah, put missiles down on this location, and then it's like, oh, but the blast doors, so that sets him up to like, okay, I gotta fucking disable this thing so you can kill everything, and everything will be good. And then we run into our last battle, or our last meeting with Safin, where Safin shoots Bond and then fucking hits him with that fucking tiger claw swipe to the face with the shit that's gonna affect with the Heracles that's been designed to attach to him and Madeline and his whoever's related to him DNA wise. I did like it. Kind of reminded me of like Put the Bunny in the Box, the fucking Con Air shit, when he's got the bunny and he fucking he brings that home. But so Bond just fucking, I did like how he fucking he snapped Safin's arm. That was pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah. He just right over his leg. He just
It wasn't even a soft like I broke your arm kind of thing. It was like he snapped that fucker at like the forearm in between like the wrist and the elbow. Like that was pretty brutal. I really like that. And then they have some exposition about, like fucking, you can't, you're fucked, and like, I got you infected, we're one and the same. We're both destined to fucking lose everything, whatever. And then I did like, when Bond's walking, because he's been shot, he's fucked up, he's got this virus, and the blood starts dripping, and he's walking up, and he knows, and then he phones it in, like, like, okay, the missiles have already been sent, my last act is I'm gonna open these blast doors, because Safin's dead, I'm the last one here, and then he calls Q, and he's like, put Madeline on, and then they have their whole thing. I'm not gonna lie, dude. This time, the first time it got to me, I got pretty choked up, and then this part, I know Steve's probably gonna scoff at this too, but this part too, like when he's out on the top and he fucking phones it in, he's talking to fucking Madeline, and he's like, I love you, blah blah blah. He's like, I'm not gonna make it, and when she hits him with the fucking
she does have your eyes. Yeah.
She does have your eyes. Dude, the second time.
I know somewhere deep down in my heart, I still love you.
I was at the water park, man.
dude, every time I watch it in the theater, I'll never forget being in the theater, and I couldn't like. I was trying to like. I'm in my seat, and it's getting more intense, and it's like I'm sitting there, right, and it's from the point where they first grab Madeline and the daughter, and she's got him, and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna put him in the boat. I'm gonna get him away," and he's like, "All right, cool, word, thanks." Well, they go, and there's a shot where it's just like he's kind of standing in the dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of see he's about to go back in, and it's very clear, like the entire shot of her and the kid. It's just it's like a bright light.
Mm-hmm.
It's like them going under that tunnel, like them coming into the light, and he's in like this dark foyer about to dip out. He's like, "Oh, I'll be right back. Don't worry about it." And at that point in the theater, like I knew I knew something was. I knew it was going to be them, and it made me kind of think it was going to be them. Like he was going to move on, and we were supposed to think like, they're safe, they're good to go. That's going to be like the catalyst to start off the whole rest of the series. Like this is why he's just cold, calculated, and fucked forever.
Right.
Because now it's here, and they're going down. Doesn't end up happening, right? But so he's as everything's going on, like you're talking about, like even hearing you describe it now, when he gets on the phone call and he's like, "Yo, Q, put him on." Mallory's, everyone's listening. Everyone who's ever been a part of his life is like around him, and I'm just like trying to look around the theater, just like, fucking, like
are you seeing this shit?
And like it just starts coming, dude, and I'm just like fucking just like,
dude.
Dude, that final shot of him there, and then the bomb that just,
dude.
And
when they fly up in the air and the missiles, and then they break apart into multiple fucking like
fireworks,
80 fucking missiles per launch or whatever, and they start coming down. It's like boom, 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 dude. He goes out with his fucking boots on. I loved. Like right before like the visual, you see him like he's accepting his fate or whatever, and he's like standing, and it's got this long shot, and he's just like looking up in the sky, and then he says it a second time, and he's like, "Yeah, she does," but with the eyes, and everything, and and you see him, he's just like doesn't even flinch, dude, and that fucking just like boom. I didn't know he was gonna go out like that, man. I thought it was gonna be like a gunshot, and he goes out, and he's like in someone's arms, and it's like and then he fades out. But dude, going out this way, I fucking thought it was so rad. I was like, whoa, because I didn't see this in theater. I saw it at home. I was like on my couch. I fucking rewinded this fucker like 3 times and replayed that scene, that lead up.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, that fucking it hit me. Even this time, dude, I was sitting here, I was watching on my computer, and like my jaw got like my neck got tight, and I got like single tear fucking rolled down. I was like, God damn, as a father. But no, yeah, this one, yeah. Such a good fucking send off for Bond. I thought it was rad how he fucking just embraced it, was like, bring it. Yeah.
And it felt like we went on that journey with him. You know what I mean? Because it was like, and it was all kind of coming to this conclusion, and it like all the feelings that you kind of get. Like I'm sitting there like watching it in the theater, and it's like, dog, I watched Casino Royale in the theater when I was in high school. You know what I mean? And here it's 2021. This is the last movie. This is it. Like it's like
you've come this far with him from becoming a double agent all the way to his final arc, and he's fucking old too now. It's like
dude,
how old was he when he first did the first Bond, and now he's like 50 or something, so I looked it up too. He's like the longest tenured, if you don't count Connery coming back he did something like 20 years apart, and I guess it was like a goof Bond movie, like it was
Never Say Never Again.
It's like unattached, and it's like not canon to anything else. But if you don't count that oddball shit, this is the longest tenured like Bond throughout the series. So, and I feel like he has a really good, like, especially if you stack it against other Bonds, like he's got a really good, solid like story arc from beginning to end. And I feel like this end scene in No Time to Die really paid it off. for me.
Yeah.
Like I was like, fuck yeah, that was like a like if you take it as like a whole experience from Casino Royale to this, I felt really satisfied. Even though I poked holes in some things, and I have some issues with this film too. I don't feel like it holds up to like the level of Skyfall. But ultimately I really did enjoy this, and I liked how they didn't pull any punches at the end, like with him going out.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you think about this from an outsider and coming into just this section of Bond?
Yeah,
Do you think it was a fitting end for him?
I do. It sucks knowing how it was going to end, so I was just kind of waiting for it.
You think that would have hit you different if you had no idea he was going to...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Go out? Yeah.
Yeah, because I just would have assumed he was going to find his way out.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I thought it was a very sweet ending.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And when she tells her, she's like, oh, I want to tell you about somebody. Bond.
Oh, yeah. At the end when they're in the car.
Like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, that was fucking...
Yeah, because then you can't help but think like, fuck, dude, like Blofeld fucked him out of like 5 whole years. And even when he knew pretty early on, I feel like when he's like, but she has my eyes. And she's like, it's not yours, James. Like, and he's making breakfast for her. Like, I feel like, he knows like, that's gotta be. And he's like, yeah, I'm James Bond, you know, we're going to get out of this. I'm going to make things right, and I'm going to get mine, you know, like I'm going to have my day in the sun kind of thing. But, yeah, looking back on it, it's like, fuck, dude, it's so dirty how Blofeld did him.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we'll mark it in the win column, and that bumps us up to an 86.7 approval rate overall. I think the one that we didn't cover, Quantum of Solace, would you say that's the last on your list? If we had to do a quick ranking of the Bond era films, where would you put this one, Steve?
I would have to put... That's tough.
It is tough.
Yeah.
I thought about it before this, and even asking the question was tough for me. I don't even know how I'd answer.
I think I have to put Skyfall first.
Yeah.
I think I have to put Quantum of Solace last.
Yeah.
I think this one and Casino Royale might be fighting for second.
Ooh.
For different reasons. And Spectre is obviously fourth.
Yeah, that's an easy 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like after hearing it out loud, I feel like the only real way is you're either a Skyfall camp or you're a Casino Royale camp at Top Dog, you know, like, because you're either Skyfall or Casino Royale 1, 2. It's got to be this at 3 or fighting for 2. And then you got Spectre, Quantum of Solace. Like, you can't really get any crazier than that.
Right.
Unless you're
Casino
trying
Royale.
to be like a fucking like, I like Quantum of Solace or Spectre 1, you know, like you're wanting to really go against the fucking grain. But yeah, I feel like it ultimately it falls to whether you're a Skyfall guy or if you're a Casino Royale guy. Yeah. I'm a personally, I like Skyfall. Just it just does it for me without taking away. It's hard to rank them like in that kind of a rank, because I would probably put, if you could merge, I'd probably put Skyfall, Casino Royale at the same level, and then go No Time to Die, also acknowledging I feel like it was a really good way to send him off. And then I'd go, you know, Spectre, Quantum of Solace, but...
Yeah. Casino Royale, Skyfall, No Time to Die, Spectre, Quantum of Solace.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that this fits that 3 spot really well, and it's a toss up between the other 2 top dogs, but
Spectre,
like you say, it's the ending.
Spectre should have been better.
Yeah,
I'm still so disappointed.
I
It
I
could
am
have been
too, man.
so great.
I had
I imagine
such high
fucking watching
hopes.
trailers and waiting for years to see it, and then fucking going there to watch it.
Yeah, that was a solid 3 or 4 years between Skyfall and Spectre. Yeah, I went into Spectre having like the highest hopes.
Guns loaded. Yep, ready to go.
I think that's what serves Casino Royale so well, is because it was the first one. People didn't know what to think of Daniel Craig. Even if you come into it later, I feel like you're not really versed in the Bond world, so you don't know what to expect. Other than Daniel Craig's been Bond for all these years, but when you actually sit down and watch it, it's different. But I think Casino Royale had a lot going for it because it broke the mold so sharply. Yeah, and was so good. Like, it's just tough for that kind of comparison. Okay, yeah, I'll kind of stick by that. I feel like you got to be. It's either one of two camps. Is you're a Skyfall or you're a Casino Royale.
And Skyfall's the only one you saw in theaters, right?
No, I saw Spectre, Skyfall, and Quantum of Solace in theater. I didn't see Casino Royale in theater. But that's the other thing. The theater experience is different, especially in a Bond film, because I feel like it's really meant for the theater.
It is.
And I really wish I would have watched this in the theater. I feel like I'd probably like it even more. It might maybe for me I'd be like one of those wild cards where it might be fighting against Casino Royale for 2. It'd be a little bit higher, but in my heart of hearts and like in good conscience, I can't give this the edge on Casino Royale at 2, being a Skyfall guy. So, but with that said, I think it's a strong 3.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've just had an apostrophe.
Have you ever? Have you ever seen Hook, Steve?
Oh yeah,
dude. When Bob Hoskins, he's playing Smee, and he has that lightning rod.
Jack.
Yeah, he has that lightning rod. He's like, I've just had an apostrophe. And Dustin Hoffman is Hook. He's like, I think you mean epiphany. And he gives him that idea. He's like, you got to make those little buggers love you. And then Hook takes it and he's like, Smee, I've just had the most intelligent thought I've ever thought of. I'll make these children love me. Like, he just steals his idea immediately. But it starts out with him. He's like, I've just had an apostrophe. Dude, pour one out for Bob Hoskins, man. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's in the win column. Do you guys have any colloquialisms or anything you want to talk about? Anything I missed from, or we missed from No Time to Die?
No, I just will say it feels good to be a part of a 5-win streak with Steve, because week to week, hearing every week you talk about how high of a clip this is, about your bet, and then there's always this fucking little slide in there about Macabre and Mrs. Miller. What dog shit. Fucking absolute terror. And it's like, God, fuck you, bro. It's one of my 3 episodes I'm on. All right. I didn't pick that movie. Brought into it. So it feels good. I'm glad you dug them all, because these are some of my favorite movies of all time, for sure. They're very, very high up there.
Sweet. Fuck yeah. What did you think, Steve, on the whole? Were you glad that you partook in this section of the Bond franchise?
Yeah, definitely. And I will say, I feel like you've sort of undersold how pretty Swan is.
Yeah, I remember you saying that last film, and I think I had fucking goo-goo eyes for Monica Dumper Bellucci. Because I've loved her all the way since, Brotherhood of the Wolf and Matrix and all that. So that goes a long way with me. But yeah, I can see it a lot. Like you said, you're not a fan of the frizzy hair, the curly hair kind of.
Hate it.
It just
just rubs you the wrong way.
Can't stand
The gap teeth thing for me was kind of a turnoff, but I can see it in this one. You know, she's
she definitely looks better in this one than the previous one.
Yeah. Sure. And once I realized I think she's older than I am, and I'm 38, or she's right around there. I think that softened the blow a little bit more because I thought she was way younger for some reason, but take that as you will. But no, yeah, she almost feels like one of those like a different era of leading lady, like
timeless beauty is the word you're looking for.
Like a real handsome, like I put her in the same kind of.
No,
I put her. Well, I'm just saying for my.
Do
my
not
taste,
say Gina Davis. No,
I put her in the same camp as Gina Davis, like just a real classy dame. You know, like I just see in like neon lights, like dame in cursive. You know, like that's what I get from her. But this time, I will say like. The gap tooth was not as big of a deal for me this time, I guess.
I think it was hard for me because Paloma is she's
fucking ravishing.
So fine. And she didn't look that good to me in the previous one, Inspector. I don't know. Sorry, Steve.
It's okay.
I think they dressed her up a lot. Maybe the climate, like you didn't get to see a whole heck of a lot, and I feel like she gives a little bit more in the skin game in this one, but yeah, she seems like refined, classy dame, Gina Davis, handsome woman. That's kind of where I put her in my category of lusting. But yeah, dude, Paloma, she just seemed like a just hell on wheels. No,
okay, take it easy.
Just fucking...
I think all women are beautiful, and you guys are just being like very close-minded right now.
Yeah, well, we are. It's because the boner has just accepted all the blood from our head, and we just can't.
Well,
searching for boner alert. Searching for.
Where is it?
I told you to cue it up, dude.
God damn it.
God, Paloma's fine.
Damn it. I thought I had the one that I wanted to play.
Did someone order a bitch?
Oh, man.
Yo, man, you ever get the feeling you was being watched?
Yeah, I can't find it. God damn it.
Boner alert.
I mean, Paloma... Like, I'm an ass man by trade, and she doesn't have like the most like exquisite set of cans, but she shows a lot of skin down that midline. And I don't know, dude, just seeing her whip around those kicks and stilettos and just handling a fucking weapon like that, dude. And she's just like having a great time, you know, like when she gets in that fucking 57, that murdered out 57 Chevy. And she's like, yeah, I'm doing great, you know, and like Bond flashes her that smile, dude. She just seems like such a good fucking time. Like I'd go anywhere. I'd run away with her for sure.
Oh,
fuck my kids.
That's Blade Runner. I was trying to remember. I knew it was Knives Out.
Yep. Knives Out. And she played the holographic woman in Joy in Blade Runner.
Who?
Deuce 049.
Paloma.
Yeah, she's awesome. I like her a lot.
Okay, relax. You have a family. You have a family.
You have a family.
One shoelace? I came in here with two. You took my shoelace?
You took my shoelace?
What you gonna do with that? Floss your ass?
What you gonna do with one shoelace? Let me in on the secret. Floss your ass?
Oh, I do have one thing that we'll insert here before we get out of here. From Chris Dog. He said, before the Navy SEALs episode, I put together 2 separate lists of movies for the next episode, depending on whether or not you guys like Navy SEALs. Since I finally scored a solid win, here's the list of riskier picks: Miracle Mile, River's Edge, Relentless, Das Experiment, which that sounds like a trap, and Startup. Although now I feel like I have to defend myself with Orca or Alligator against Bob's incredulity against Jaws. So some food for thought. If I'm being honest right now, as a movie buff and a cinephile, I don't think I've seen any of those except for River's Edge, which is actually kind of a fun one because they filmed that outside of Sacramento, starring Keanu Reeves, Daniel Roebuck, Crispin Glover, who played the dad from Back to the Future. I think River's Edge is a strong contender out of that batch, maybe for the next Chris episode. But yeah, he threw down the gauntlet. So, I mean, he might come back hot and heavy, wanting to really fight for the honor of Alligator. So we'll see. I feel like that'd be a good summertime kind of watch too. So maybe stay tuned for that towards the bowels of July. We'll get into that. Did you guys have any colloquialisms? Or I'm seeing Riz a lot lately, and like even more. And I did see one of our mutual friends, Foch King, shout out. I found a shirt online. It was like an Instagram thing, and it was Jesus is risen, but spelled Rizzen, and it's like Jesus, and it's like one of these like gangster, like it's like murdered out, and like the like diamond, like the grill style with like the diamonds popping on each of the letters, and it says Jesus has risen. And immediate impulse buy. I was like, what's your address right now? And I shipped it to him. So it's still in transit, but because dude, without fail, what is the thing where it's he is risen? Is that Easter?
Yeah.
For Jesus freaks?
Yes.
Without fail,
Jesus freaks.
Without fail, every Easter I get a meme or a text that's he is risen from Jeff from
So you had to send him a bedazzled custom shirt.
A bedazzled custom Jesus is risen with
he
Z's.
Is risen.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a wild tangent, I guess, related to colloquialisms that yeah, I
had never seen that prove me wrong thing you were talking about, but as soon as you fucking mentioned it or make it make sense,
yeah,
I had never fucking seen it, and then you brought it up in that one episode, and
you see it everywhere,
26 fucking times a day on Twitter,
dude. Synchronicity, man.
Brutal.
Yeah, so I saw that immediate impulse buy. So stay tuned. We'll have photos. He said he'd film the unboxing. So, yeah, I thought that was fun. Any hoodles? Damn, we're running pretty long here. If you have any questions, concerns, complaints, hate mail is welcomed. You can reach out to us at waxingtheporpoise.com. Either of our socials, Instagram is at waxingtheporpoise. Twitter is at waxingtheporp. Reach out to us. Let us know what you think of this episode. Where does No Time to Die land on your Daniel Craig Bond spectrum? Did you like this film? Did you not? What do you got? Staring Jon, thank you so much for joining us on this chaotic journey through Craig's tenure. I was really excited to talk about this one because we had both seen it so long ago, and I had saved it, kind of like nestled this Easter egg to talk about live. Do you want to plug where people can find you on Twitch?
Sure. Real quick, twitch.tv/kinetic_onslaught, ONSLOT. I'm going to bang these out real quick. I got this pulled up just so you guys know. It's a retro stream. We play NES games. This is what has been beat so far. DuckTales, Ninja Gaiden 1, 2, and 3. Zelda 1, Metroid, Bucky O'Hare, Little Samson, Battle Kid, Zelda 2, Castlevania 1 and 2, Final Fantasy, Battle of Olympus, Guardian Legend, Gargoyle's Quest 2, Battletoads, Ghosts and Goblins, Little Nemo, Dream Master, Mighty Final Fight, Fox's Peter Pan, worst shit I've ever played in my life. Kirby's Adventure, Hook, Dragon Warrior, Street Fighter 2010, TMNT 2, and we just wrapped up G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero last stream. So, old NES games, if you guys like them, you wanna see them played, you can choose which one I play. Just come on by. We'll have a good time, talk some shit. We discuss movies every now and then. I'll just talk some shit about something, this or that. We kind of get into it all. That's where I'm at.
Nice. Fuck yeah. Dude, Little Nemo, that brought back flashbacks from NES, dude. That was such a hard. I don't think I ever got past like
the train.
Probably before that, like getting the mole guy where you're digging underground.
Yeah.
Right around there, I start blacking out. But that was such a cool. That was such a cool game where you could just you feed them that candy gum or whatever, and you fucking jump into different little like character animal things that all have different like functions and shit. Dude, I loved that. Yep. What was some of the like first 10 that you rattled off?
DuckTales.
DuckTales, dude. That I went rounds on DuckTales. I think the miner guy.
Yeah.
That one was fucking tough, but dude, the soundtrack for Moon is so dope. There's a band, I think they're out of Grass Valley. Our buddy Joe Mace used to play them every once in a while. They were called The Advantage, and they played specifically, they covered NES like chiptune, but they played it on like guitar, bass, and fucking drums. Like they would play these analog like NES games.
That's the name of that controller you brought up earlier.
Right.
The arcade. It's called The Advantage.
Yeah. One of their album covers is like an NES console, and they have like hot chicks in bikinis like washing it like a dope car. Like, they're called The Advantage. I'm pretty sure they're from Grass Valley because Joe Mace introduced us to them, and he was like, yeah, these motherfuckers from Grass Valley, this shit's sick. And they did like they have a cover of like the Batman NES game.
Oh, bangers.
Dude.
Game.
A couple.
That's what we're playing right now. That's what's queued up right now.
Nice, dude. That game was a lot of fun. NES when I was a kid too. But he's got that band has a lot of bangers too from like the NES Castlevania era. That Batman intro, dude. So many good ones. But yeah, check out The Advantage on Spotify. That's a fun flashback. Cool. Fucking A. When are you gonna get to Legacy of the Wiz? Are you still waiting on some votes?
Yeah, basically the way the stream is set up is I just pick the game. If you donate 5 subs, it's $25. You get to pick the game. The thing is, I don't want to emulate anything, so it's got to be shit that I own, which is listed in on my About Me section. And so far, I've always been lucky enough that somebody has come by and been like, oh, word, I like this game and I want to see you play it. So I haven't really had to pick anything for myself yet.
Oh, sweet.
Which is kind of twofold, right? Because at the same time, it's like, well, I haven't really got to fucking pick what I want to play.
But yeah, so on the other end, you're getting fucking paid. You're getting fucking paid, bitch.
Yeah.
Live in a micro house. Cool. Yeah, check out John. He's got some awesome shit going on the Twitch stream. Thank you again, man, for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming back on. And just because it's the end of the bond doesn't mean it spells the end for Staring Jon. We'll have to have you on for some other deep cuts down the road for sure.
I'm trying to kick it with Chris, dude. I like Chris, man.
I like the cut of his jib. He's a different kind of character. He's a good hang.
Chris is the man.
Yeah, he seems like it.
I think you guys would jive too pretty well if we were to do an expando 4-person.
Yeah. Let's do Orca, dude. Tell him we want to do. I've never seen Orca. Let's do Orca, and we'll tell Chris to cue it up and go through it.
Dude, Orca is a lot of fun. I'll say this: have you ever seen Jaws?
Oh yeah,
the OG. Do you like Jaws? Okay.
Yeah.
You'll like Orca. So Orca is like a hard R, more renegade version of Jaws. Okay. Like within the first minute, there's a person maybe within the first 2 minutes of the credits don't even finish rolling, and there's a guy on a crow's nest that gets fucking snapped up and ripped halfway through his body.
Yeah,
by an orca.
Sounds good. I do want to see it.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a fun one. That's a good summertime watch too, because you got the ocean vibes, you got the beach vibes. So cool. Yeah, we'll incorporate something for sure. I think next episode I haven't divulged to Steve yet what the plans are, but you brought up the case a couple weeks ago, I think, of Karen Reed. Is that how you say her name?
Yep.
Or Karen Reed.
Yep.
That one's really piqued my interest. I've seen a few things on that, but that might be a fun one where you can kind of take the reins and I kind of follow you down the rabbit hole. So that's the ostensible plan, is next week the curious case of Karen Reed. Alliteration aside, I think that would be a fun one. It's kind of a fucked up deal, and you can picture yourself in her situation. It's kind of, I think that'd make for a good pod. So Google up Karen Reed, Read. She's in some hot water right now with the death of her boyfriend. It's a funky case. So I think that'd be a good one to kind of shift gears a little bit, go back into our kind of true crime, unexplained, high strangeness kind of mode. So yeah, give her a Google. Maybe that's what we'll talk about next week. Maybe something else. We'll see.
Yeah.
But at any rate, thank you for joining us.
It's a weird case.
Very
weird.
cover up. Yeah, it's got tentacles on it. So John, stay tuned.
I'm sorry, tentacles?
Yeah. I never knew you were a big octopus guy until I think I came over and we were doing some When's Marvel gaming, and I noticed you had like a crazy ass glass octopus sculpture. I was like, what's that about? And you're like, I'm just really into octopus. I think they're just fucking. It's a rad animal.
Yeah.
Octopi.
Yeah, I've always wanted one.
Octopi.
It's insane. Like, they have extremely fast story. This lady had 2 fish tanks. One fish tank, really expensive fish. This fish tank was octopus. She didn't know what was going on. The expensive fish were dying. Sets up a camera. Octopus was crawling out of its tank, crawling into the other tank.
Damn.
The fish, crawling back into its own tank and chilling. Like, they're just anything their beak can fit through, they get through. They're considered escape artists. They are smart as shit. It would make a fantastic pet. No matter how you set up the tank, octopus don't give a fuck, bro. He's gonna go in and he'll rearrange the shit however he wants it. Like, octopus are fucking dope.
Dude, that's what creeps me out the most is that fucking beak, man, in the center mass, right in the belly. Like,
yeah,
that shit creeps me out. Because then I think, like, is this like a bird? Is this like a fucking raptor jellyfish? Like, what's... Like, can you imagine being like in the open water and like a big ass fucking one of those crazy ass squid off the coast of like Monterey that just the fucking beak just gets you right in the femur? Oh, yeah. Any hoodles. Yeah, this has been No Time to Die. Check out John, Staring Jon on the Twitch stream. Thank you for joining us. And if we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Woo, man, you're a fucking shark, you are.